The room sparkled with fairy lights, the clink of champagne glasses filling the air like a song. Everyone was smiling, their faces glowing with joy. Jason, my Jason, was down on one knee, holding a tiny velvet box with a ring that caught the light and made my heart stop. I could barely breathe as I said, "Yes." My hands shook, tears blurring my eyes, but I was so happy I thought I might burst. Friends and family clapped, their cheers wrapping around me like a warm hug. This was my moment, the one I'd dreamed of since I was a little girl. Then I saw her. Alicia, my best friend. The one who knew every piece of my heart, every secret I'd ever whispered in the dark. She stood up, her glass raised high, her smile sharp like a knife. The room went quiet, all eyes on her. My stomach twisted. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "I think there's something Jason should know," Alicia said, her voice loud and cold, cutting through the happiness like a storm cloud over a sunny day. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My hand froze, the champagne glass trembling. In my fingers, my heart racing so fast I thought it might break my ribs. What was she doing? Why was she looking at me like that? Like she hated me? Alicia's eyes locked onto mine, and I saw at the glint of something dark, something mean. She was about to tell everyone my secret. The one I'd buried so deep, I thought no one could ever find it. The one I told her years ago, crying in her arms, begging her to never tell a soul. My mistake, my shame. But before she could say another word, Jason stood up, his hand slipping into mine. His touch was warm, steady, like an anchor in a storm. He smiled not at Alicia, but at me. She already told me everything. "Alicia," he said, his voice calm but strong. The room went silent. My breath caught in my throat. Everyone was staring not at me, but at her. Alicia's face froze. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The crowd started to whisper, then chuckle. The laughter grew, soft at first, then louder, like a wave crashing over her. She stood there, alone in the middle of the room, her plan crumbling around her. I looked at her, my best friend, and for the first time I didn't see love in her eyes. I saw something else, something that scared me. What had I done to make her hate me so much? How did we get here? Before we proceed, could you quickly let me know in the comment which city or country are you watching from? And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories. My name is Claire, and this is my story. When Alicia and I were just kids with big dreams. We met in high school, two girls who clicked like puzzle pieces. I was the quiet one, always reading books in the library corner. Alicia was loud and funny, her laugh like a song that made everyone smile. One day she plopped down next to me in the cafeteria and said, "You look cool. Want to share my chips?" I giggled, and just like that, we were friends. We did everything together. We'd stay up late at sleepovers, whispering about boys we liked or what we wanted to be when we grew up. I wanted to work in a bookstore surrounded by stories. Alicia dreamed of being a chef, making fancy desserts for fancy people. We'd paint our nails and make silly promises, like we'd always be best friends no matter what. She was there when I cried over a bad grade, and I was there when she got nervous about a school play. We shared every secret well, almost every secret. When we got older, we both got jobs. I worked at a cozy bookstore, shelving novels and helping kids find stories they loved. Alicia got a job at a bakery, decorating cakes with swirls of frosting. We'd meet after work, sipping hot chocolate, and talking about our days. Life wasn't always easy. Bills, long hours, and grown-up worries piled up, but having Alicia made it better. She knew every part of me, every happy moment, and every sad one, especially the sad ones. There was one secret I didn't tell anyone for a long time. When I was 17, I made a big mistake. I was mixed up with a boy who wasn't nice, and I did something I wish I could erase. It left me feeling broken, like a cracked glass. One night, I couldn't keep it inside anymore. I went to Alicia's house, tears streaming down my face, and told her everything. My voice shook as I spilled my secret, afraid she'd think I was awful, but she didn't. She hugged me tight and said, "It's okay, Claire. I'll never tell anyone. You're still my best friend." Her words were like a warm blanket. I thought my secret was safe forever. Then I met Jason. It was a rainy day at the bookstore. And he walked in, his hair wet from the rain, his smile like sunshine. He asked for a book about adventure, and we ended up talking for hours. When he left, he gave me his number and said, "Call me if you want to talk about books." Or anything else. My heart did a little dance. I ran to Alicia's apartment that night, so excited I could barely talk. "He's so nice," I said, showing her his text. She laughed and helped me pick a cute outfit for our first date, a blue sweater and jeans. She read every message he sent, giggling with me when he said I was pretty. "He sounds perfect," she said, her eyes sparkling. "I'll be your maid of honor when he proposes." I hugged her, feeling like the luckiest girl in the world, but sometimes I noticed tiny things that made my tummy feel funny. One day, we were at a pizza place with Jason and some friends. Alicia was extra loud, telling funny stories and leaning close to Jason when she laughed. I told myself she was just being her silly self, but my heart felt a little pinched. Another time at a movie night, she sat right next to him, sharing popcorn and whispering jokes. I felt a tiny sting, like a bee, but I pushed it away. Alicia was my best friend. She was just having fun, right? One evening, we were at her bakery, decorating cupcakes for a party. I was telling her about Jason taking me to a carnival, how he won me a stuffed bear. She smiled and said, "That's so sweet." But her voice sounded a little tight, like she was trying too hard. I asked, "You okay?" And she nodded fast, saying, "Yeah, just tired from work." I believed her, but a small part of me wondered if something was wrong. The day of the proposal party came, and I was so nervous I could barely sit still. Jason was planning a big surprise, and I pretended I didn't know, even though he'd let it slip. Alicia was helping with everything. She picked out flowers, hung streamers, and even made a huge cake with pink frosting. "This is going to be the best night ever," she said, hugging me tight. Her smile was so big, I thought she was as excited as I was. We laughed and danced around the party hall, setting up tables, and I felt like we were kids again, planning a secret adventure. But that morning, her text had confused me. "We have to talk before the party." I asked her about it while we were blowing up balloons. "What did you mean by your text?" I said, my heart skipping a beat. She laughed and waved her hand. "Oh, just wanted to make sure your dress is perfect. You're gonna look like a princess." Her words made me smile, and I pushed my worries away. Alicia was my best friend. She'd never do anything to hurt me, right? The party started, and the room was magical, full of lights and happy faces. Jason looked so handsome, his eyes twinkling as he held my hand. I was so happy, I felt like I could fly. Then he got down on one knee, and my heart stopped. The crowd cheered as I said yes, tears in my eyes. But then Alicia stood up, her glass raised, her voice cutting through the joy. "There's something Jason needs to know," she said, and the room went silent. My heart froze. What was happening? Why was my best friend about to change everything? Alicia's voice rang out like a bell, sharp and sudden. "There's something Jason needs to know." The party stopped, the happy chatter fading to a hush. My fingers tightened around my glass, the bubbly drink inside trembling. Everyone stared at her, their eyes wide, waiting. My stomach flipped, like I was on a roller coaster about to drop. Alicia, my best friend, the one who'd been by my side since high school, stood tall in her sparkly dress, her face calm but her gaze fierce. Why was she doing this? Just minutes ago, Jason had proposed and I'd said yes, my whole world glowing with joy. Now, it felt like a storm was crashing in. Was she about to spill the mistake I made years ago? The one I trusted her to keep quiet. My breath caught, my mind racing. What was she going to say? And why now, in front of everyone we loved? I looked at Jason, his hand still warm in mine, his smile fading as he glanced at Alicia. The room felt too small. The twinkling lights too bright. I wanted to run to hide, but my feet were glued to the floor. Alicia's words hung in the air, heavy and dangerous, like a bomb about to explode. My mind screamed, "Please, don't do this." But I couldn't speak. All I could do was wait, my pulse pounding as the crowd held its breath. What was happening to my perfect night? Let's rewind a bit to when Alicia was my cheerleader. When Jason sent me a goofy poem, she read it out loud, pretending to swoon. When I was nervous about meeting his parents, she helped me practice what to say, boosting my confidence. "You've got this," she'd say, her smile bright as sunshine. I told her everything, how Jason made me feel safe, how he'd surprise me with little notes tucked in my bag. She'd listen, nodding, saying, "He's a keeper, Claire." I thought she meant it. I thought our friendship was a rock solid and strong. As the weeks went by, little moments made me pause, like clouds passing over the sun. Alicia was still her bubbly self, but sometimes her laughter felt sharp, like it had an edge. One night, we were at a bowling alley with Jason and some friends. Alicia was on fire, knocking down pins and cheering louder than anyone. She high-fived Jason, her hand lingering on his a bit too long. I brushed it off, telling myself she was just excited. But my stomach felt funny, like I'd eaten too much candy. Another time, we were at a concert, music booming around us. Alicia danced next to Jason, her moves big and bold, her eyes flicking to him every few seconds. I stood on his other side, feeling small, like I was fading into the background. She caught my eye and grinned, but it didn't feel warm. "Having fun, Claire?" she shouted over the music. I nodded, forcing a smile, but a tiny worry wiggled in my mind. Was she acting different, or was I imagining it? Then there was the day we went shopping for party decorations. Jason was planning the big proposal, and Alicia was all in, helping me pick out sparkly streamers and balloons. "This is gonna be epic," she said, tossing confetti in the air. We laughed, planning how to surprise Jason's mom with a special dessert. But when I mentioned how nervous I was about the party, she got quiet for a second, her smile slipping. "You'll be fine," she said, her voice a little flat. I wondered if she was tired, but a small voice in my head whispered, "Is she okay with me and Jason?" I pushed it away. Alicia was my best friend. She wouldn't be jealous, right? Alicia's voice echoed through the party like a lightning bolt. "There's something Jason needs to know." The happy buzz of the crowd stopped dead, replaced by a heavy silence. My fingers gripped my glass so tight I thought it might break, the fizzy drink inside shaking. Everyone stared at Alicia, my best friend since high school, standing tall in her sparkly silver dress. Her face was calm, but her eyes had a strange glint, like she was hiding something sharp. My stomach twisted into a tight knot, a sick feeling bubbling up. What was she doing? Just seconds ago, Jason had proposed, his ring sparkling on my finger, and I was floating with joy. Now, it felt like the world was tilting, ready to crash. Was she about to spill my biggest mistake, the one I trusted her to keep quiet? My breath stopped, my thoughts racing like a runaway train. Why was she doing this right here in front of all our friends and family? Jason leaned closer, his voice low. "You okay?" he whispered, his thumb brushing my hand. I nodded, but my insides were churning. I wanted to grab Alicia, pull her aside, ask what was going on, but the crowd's eyes pinned me in place. My best friend had been my rock all day, giggling with me as we sneaked a taste of her cupcake tower, joking about how Jason might trip over his own feet during the proposal. Had that all been fake? My mind flickered with doubt, but I pushed it down. Alicia wouldn't hurt me. She'd promised to be my maid of honor, hadn't she? The room stayed quiet, the tension thick like fog. Someone coughed. A chair creaked, but no one spoke. Alicia lowered her glass a little, her gaze flicking to me, then back to the crowd. I felt it chill, like a cold breeze sneaking through a window. Was she nervous, or was she planning something big? I tried to catch her eye, hoping for a smile, a sign that this was just a silly joke. But her face was unreadable, like a closed book. Suddenly, Alicia laughed, a quick, bright sound that broke the silence. "Relax, everyone," she said, waving her hand. "I just meant Jason needs to know how lucky he is to have Claire." Crowd chuckled, a wave of relief washing over the room. My shoulders sagged, my breath rushing out. Was that it? Just a joke? I forced a shaky laugh, my fingers loosening on my glass. Jason grinned, pulling me close, and the music started up again. People clapping and chatting, but something felt off. Alicia stepped closer, her smile wide as she hugged me. "Got you, didn't I?" She whispered, her voice playful. I nodded, giggling, but my stomach still felt funny, like I'd missed a step on a staircase. She'd scared me for a moment, but she was acting normal now, passing out drinks and joking with Jason's cousins. I told myself I was being silly. Alicia was my best friend. She'd spent all day making this party perfect. She wouldn't do anything to ruin it. As the party buzzed back to life, I stayed close to Jason, his arm around me like a shield. Alicia flitted around, her laughter ringing out as she helped serve cake, her dress catching the light like a star. "You two are so cute," she called, winking at us. Everyone smiled, but I noticed her glance linger on Jason, her eyes a little too bright. My chest tightened, a tiny worry creeping in. Was she really just joking? Or was there something else behind her words? The night went on, with dancing and toasts. Alicia was everywhere, refilling glasses, fixing a drooping banner, her energy lighting up the room. She pulled me onto the dance floor, twirling me until I was dizzy, laughing like we were kids again. But then, as we danced, she leaned in close, her voice soft. "You're so happy with Jason, aren't you?" She asked, her tone gentle but odd, like she was searching for something. I nodded, my throat tight. "Yeah, I am," I said, waiting for her usual grin. Instead, she looked away, her face blank. For a split second before she laughed again, my skin prickled, like I'd touched something cold. What was that look? The party was in full swing, with people laughing and the music loud. Jason and I stood by the cupcake tower, his arm around me, his warmth making me feel safe. Alicia was nearby, chatting with my mom, her voice bright as she described the cake she'd baked. I started to relax, telling myself her earlier words were just a silly prank. She was my best friend. She'd never hurt me. Then, out of nowhere, Alicia climbed onto a chair, her glass raised high again. The music faded and the crowd turned to her, their faces curious. My stomach dropped, a sick feeling rushing back. "I have one more thing to say," Shay called, her voice loud and clear, cutting through the party like a knife through butter. Everyone went quiet, their eyes locked on her. My hands shook, my breath catching. What was she doing now? She'd already scared me once. Why was she standing up again? "Claire's got something she's been hiding," Alicia said, her gaze flicking to me, her lips curving in a way that didn't feel friendly. The room gasped, whispers rippling through the crowd. My knees wobbled and Jason's hand tightened on mine. What was happening? Alicia had been so kind, so happy for me all day. Was she really about to tell everyone my biggest mistake? Right here in front of the people I loved most. Alicia's voice rang out from the chair she stood on, sharp and bold. Jason's fingers tightened around mine, his warmth steady, but his face puzzled as he looked up at her. The twinkling lights seemed to flicker, the room too quiet, like everyone was holding their breath. I wanted to scream, to pull Alicia down, to beg her to stop, but my legs felt like jelly, my voice lost in a fog of panic. The crowd's eyes, darted between us, their whispers buzzing like bees. Alicia's words hung in the air, heavy and dangerous, like a wave about to crash. My pulse thumped in my ears, my thoughts racing. What was she going to say next? And how could my best friend, who'd laughed with me just hours ago, be ready to turn my life upside down? The silence stretched, thick and heavy, making my skin prickle. Jason whispered. What's she doing? His voice low, confused. I shook my head, unable to answer, my throat tight like it was stuffed with cotton. Alicia had been my rock, giggling with me as we set up the party, promising to dance. All night as my maid of honor. Asterisk, had that all been a lie? My mind flashed to her helping me pick out decorations. Her hands quick as she hung streamers, her voice bright as she said, "This is your moment, Claire." I'd felt so close to her, like nothing could break us. But now, her words felt like a trap, ready to spring. Someone in the crowd cleared their throat, breaking the quiet. Alicia blinked, her lips twitching, like she was deciding what to say next. My stomach twisted tighter, a sick feeling growing. Was she really about to tell everyone about my mistake from years ago, the one I'd confessed to her in the dark, believing she'd keep it safe? I wanted to run, to hide, but the room held me like a net, every eye watching. Waiting. Alicia lowered her glass a fraction, her voice softening. Claire's been hiding how nervous she was about tonight, said her laugh light, but sharp, like a bell with a crack. The crowd chuckled, a ripple of relief spreading. My shoulders sagged, my breath escaping in a rush. Was that all? A tease about my nerves? Jason squeezed my hand, grinning, and the music kicked back up, people clapping and returning to their conversations. I forced a shaky giggle, trying to shake off the fear, but a cold knot lingered in my gut. Something about Alicia's tone felt wrong, like a puzzle piece that didn't fit. She hopped down from the chair, her dress shimmering as she moved toward us. "Got you, didn't I?" she said, nudging my arm, her grin wide. I nodded, my lips curving but my insides still churned. She'd scared me, but she was acting normal now, grabbing a cupcake and offering it to Jason with a playful wink. "You better treat her right," she teased, her voice bright. I told myself I was overthinking it. Alicia had been amazing all day, helping make this night perfect. She wouldn't hurt me, right? The party roared back to life with dancing and chatter filling the air. Alicia was everywhere, passing out drinks, joking with my cousins, her energy like a sparkler. I stayed close to Jason, his arm around me like a warm blanket. But I kept glancing at Alicia, watching her laugh with guests, her movements quick and lively. Every time she caught my eye, she'd flash a big grin, but it felt too bright, like a light turned up too high. My chest tightened, a tiny doubt creeping. Was she really just joking up there, or was something else going on? As the night went on, Alicia pulled me onto the dance floor, spinning me around until I was dizzy. "You're glowing, Claire," she said, her hands squeezing mine. Her laugh was loud, her eyes sparkling, but I noticed her fingers were cold. Herlisha stood on the stage, her glass raised high, her gaze sweeping the room like she owned it. My chest squeezed tight, like someone was pressing down on me. She'd been so wonderful today, helping with every detail of the party, arranging flowers, fixing the music, even tucking a stray curl behind my ear before the guests arrived. "You're gonna steal the show, Claire," she'd said, her laugh bright as she adjusted my necklace. I'd trusted her, believing she was as excited as I was about Jason's proposal. So why was she up there now, her voice slicing through the celebration like a blade? I searched her face for a hint, a flicker of the friend who'd giggled with me over cupcakes. But her expression was hard, like a locked gate. The silence grew heavier, the crowd's eyes wide with curiosity. Jason leaned close, his breath warm, against my ear. "What's going on?" Kay whispered, his voice tight. I shook my head, my throat too dry to speak. Alicia had been my partner in crime all day, joking about how Jason might fumble the proposal, promising to dance with me until midnight. Had it all been a trick? My mind raced, replaying her earlier moment on the chair, when she laughed off her words as a joke about my nerves. But this felt different, bigger, like a wave about to crash over me. Was she really going to tell everyone about my mistake? The one I'd confessed to her in the quiet of a sleepless night? Someone in the crowd shifted, a glass clinking. The sound sharpened the stillness. Alicia's lips parted, her eyes locking on mine for a split second. I braced myself, my fingers digging into Jason's arm, waiting for her to speak. My whole world hung on her next words, fragile as a soap bubble. Was this it? Was my best friend about to tear my life apart? Before Alicia could say another word, Jason stepped forward, his hand still holding mine. His voice was calm but strong, cutting through the tension like a warm breeze. "She already told me everything, Alicia," he said. "Yes, she told me how she stole her parents' money and planned to run away with her boyfriend then," his eyes steady on her. The crowd gasped, murmurs rippling through the room. My jaw dropped, my mind blank. What? I told Jason about my past, that terrible choice I made when I was 17. Late one night, when we were curled up on his couch, I'd been so scared. He'd leave, but he'd held me close, saying he loved me for who I was now, not what I'd done. But how did he know Alicia was about to bring it up? Alicia's face froze, her glass lowering slightly, her eyes wide with shock. The room buzzed with whispers, people leaning forward, their faces a mix of surprise and confusion. I looked at Jason, his jaw set, his gaze never leaving Alicia. "Her past doesn't change who she is," he said, his voice clear, ringing out over the crowd. "Her honesty does." My chest swelled, a mix of relief and love washing over me, but my eyes stayed on Alicia. She stood there, motionless, like a statue caught in a spotlight. The crowd's whispers grew louder, some people chuckling softly, others shaking their heads. Alicia's cheeks flushed, her lips opening, but no words came out. She'd expected to shock everyone, to break me. But now the room's attention turned to her, their looks sharp with judgment. I felt a pang, not of anger, but of sadness. Alicia, my best friend who'd helped plan this perfect night, had wanted to hurt me. Why? Her earlier laughter, her hugs, her promises to be my maid of honor, had they all been fake? The music started. Up again, soft at first, and people began talking, their voices filling the room. Alicia stepped down from the stage, her movements stiff, her glass clutched tight. She looked at me, her eyes flickering with something wronger, maybe, or shame. I wanted to run to her to ask why she'd tried to ruin my moment, but my feet stayed rooted. Jason pulled me close, his arm a shield, whispering, "You okay, Claire?" I nodded, but my gaze followed Alicia as she moved through the crowd. Her usual spark gone, her shoulders slumped. The party slowly came back to life, with guests dancing and laughing, but the air felt different, heavier. Alicia stayed on the edges, passing out plates, her smile forced, her eyes avoiding mine. I watched her, a lump in my throat, my mind a tangle of questions. She'd been so kind today, helping with every detail, making me feel like the luckiest girl. But now I saw the truth. Her kindness had been a mask, hiding a jealousy I'd never noticed. She'd wanted Jason, or maybe just wanted to take my happiness. And she'd thought my past would break me. I clung to Jason, his warmth grounding me as we swayed to the music. Friends came up, hugging me, saying how happy they were for us. But my eyes kept finding Alicia, standing alone by the dessert table, her face pale. For the first time, I didn't see my best friend, the girl who'd shared my dreams and fears. I saw someone lost, someone who'd let bitterness twist her heart. I felt no anger, only a deep, aching pity. She'd tried to shatter my world, but instead, she'd shown everyone her own pain. As the night ended, Alicia slipped out without a word, her dress no longer sparkling, her steps heavy. I watched her go, my chest tight with a sadness I couldn't shake. We'd been like two souls in one body, but now that bond was broken, a piece of me gone forever. Jason kissed my forehead, whispering, "I love you, Claire." I smiled, holding his hand, knowing I'd found something real. But as the party lights dimmed, I couldn't help but wonder, would Alicia ever find her way back, or was she lost to me forever? I thought my best friend Alicia and I were like two peas in a pod, but when she tried to tell everyone about my big mistake, I was so scared I'd lose everything. That time I took money from my parents when I was 17. It was the worst thing I ever did, and I felt so ashamed. But you know what? Telling Jason the truth, even though it was scary, made me stronger. And when he stood up for me, I learned something big. Being honest about your mistakes can build love, not break. It did. Alicia was jealous and it made her do something mean, but I don't hate her. I feel sad for her because she let her hurt turn her into someone she's not. Mistakes don't make you bad, they're just part of growing up. What matters is saying sorry, making things right, and choosing to be kind today. Surround yourself with people like Jason who see the real you, not just your slip-ups. And if someone tries to bring you down, hold your head high. You're more than your past.